Hello, before today's episode, I just want to tell you something. We have got tickets still available for the pavilion. Please buy them, it's going to be a great night. Isn't it, lads?
Yes.
Yes, it is, Stephen.
Guess what else? We've got Patreon.
We should
Extra
tell them
content.
when it is. The 31st of March.
31st of March.
2024.
Easter Sunday.
Easter Sunday.
That's why I prompted just to give the details. I'm not a details man.
I tell you what, tickets are going fast. Not many seats left. Basically, there's no seats left in the stalls. It's
Zero.
The
Shitey seats.
the
lads.
front circle you want, or whatever they call it.
Not
So
that
they're
shite
good.
stuff.
They're still
They're
good seats.
all right.
Probably a better vantage point actually. But yeah, if you want to get the ones that's not the very top tier, then do get them very soon.
Yes, you can also please support us by joining the Patreon
Please.
from as little as £3 a month, where you'll get an extra bonus episode once every 2 weeks. There's heaps of them in the tank already for you to enjoy, plus the live shows that we've recorded in the past at Monkey Barrel, at the Glee Club, at the Stand,
I could
in
go on.
London at that place. They're all super fun, aren't they?
Yes, they've got brilliant stuff. And if you want to kind of see what the live shows are like, if you've not been before, check them out on Patreon. And then
We've got a wee documentary as well.
it's behind the scenes for the
Fringe,
for the
yeah.
Fringe, and some behind the scenes footage for the Glee as well. That's where you also get first dibs on tickets for upcoming shows. The next one that we'll be doing will be the Pavilion, obviously, but we do occasionally put on wee sort of secret or Patreon only stand-up shows and things like that. So if you want to
Probably put on more of them before as we panic before the Fringe.
yes, prior to August, we'll definitely have some more of them. We've had some great guests come down for those as well, so don't miss out on those. Aside from all that, guys, enjoy
Enjoy
today's
the
episode.
episode. We love you.
Love you.
Welcome to the Some Laugh podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Some laughs.
Well, no promising all laugh.
No,
It's
there's going to be some.
some laugh. Welcome to the podcast, Zara. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Big fan. Big
Oh,
fan. Genuinely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great sound. Great theme tune as well.
Well,
Aye, well,
that is a
that
good
was
theme tune. Where did
it
we
is a
get
good-
that?
You can
Someone
thank-
slagged us for it recently, I'm
Oh, really?
sure. Someone said change the theme tune.
they just don't. They get sick of us saying it's no all laugh, it's some laugh all the
Yeah,
time. That's what they say.
probably.
But
Let's try a
listen,
new theme tune every week.
No.
Or you could like remix it.
it's actually the thing with that theme tune is that the Pokemon. There's some Pokemon thing on YouTube, and it used that because it's like a YouTube
Yeah,
free
we spoke about this. Yeah.
audio thing, and they used it and it got like 2 million hits. So it's known now as like Pokemon Great Friends or something like that. It's called.
The Pokemon
we-
community.
But we just used it. We used it just after that song came out. It was like only been up for like a month, and then we started this podcast. So I feel like even though they popularised the song, we fucking were there first, right?
Before that, you asked me to make a song for
Yeah,
the
it was
podcast.
a disgrace.
It was not a disgrace. It was,
I've never heard it.
I put it in the group chat.
Oh, really?
And then
I
you
don't
were like,
recall,
actually,
sorry.
I found this royalty-free song that we're going to use instead. I no worries.
No, it was it was a good attempt, but I don't think we'd have caught on in the way that we maybe have if we had
I think
used
we
that.
should. I think we should play it to the.
We'll play it at the live show, eh? We'll
and
introduce
see
it
what they
and
say.
see the crowd go mild as well.
I've heard Digimon are using it on YouTube.
But thanks for joining us anyway. So Zara, you are/were a zoologist, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a trained zoologist.
What does that?
cool.
What was the training for that? Is that good at runs and all that as well? Is it?
So I did a zoology degree, and then I went back and I did a PhD about crayfish
Crayfish?
for 4 years. So one of my supervisors was actually from Clydebank, so I used to come here and on my way to field sites
What for Glasgow Uni?
from Glasgow Uni.
Is
Yeah,
it? Aye. No. Well, I
What's
suppose.
their name?
Colin Bean.
Don't know.
Shout out
Okay, well,
to Professor Bean.
Know him well. That's called crayfish. So that was your specialist.
That was my special subject.
What's so special about crayfish?
Well, I was studying an American crayfish that was introduced to the UK, and it's sort of spread everywhere. And it's a bit like grey squirrels,
Right.
but like in
So
rivers.
People don't like them.
Come over here, yeah. They come over and they
Fucking
take
up
our
the,
rivers.
The
yeah,
red crayfish.
Yeah.
They're-
yeah, exactly. So I
Alright.
used to go about in waders in the Clyde and like put tags on them and measured how far they went up the river and
Right.
caught them in traps.
Is that right?
And Did you get rid of them? Did you kill them?
I think they've spread quite a bit more since my
done a great
PhD. So yeah, it's been 10 years, so they're still here. They're really hard to get rid of.
Why is it you want to get rid of them?
Because they exactly the impact.
You seem to know a lot about crayfish. so
Yeah.
that's what
I
I'm
know a lot
surprised
about
by.
grey squirrels, so that's where my background comes
They're
from.
pretty much the same. Yeah, they like compete with native species. They like erode riverbanks as well. They build burrows, and then the riverbank gets really unstable and like collapses.
Right.
You get them in lochs as well,
All right. So they're just kind of they
Pests
just
are a
fuck
menace.
everything
Yeah.
up.
Aye.
and they can
Menace.
survive like anything. Like they're really like hardy. Like you can freeze them in a block of ice, and then defrost the ice, and
The
then
old
they'll be
Yvonne of the
fine.
Yukon.
Just like Walt Disney.
Yeah.
So because do you know what I heard recently? Right, that apparently this is a thing that people do in London at the Thames. Well, I can't. There's a name for it. It's like wading or something like that. But they go because obviously just of how long people have been living there. If you go to the kind of banks of the Thames when the shore is low, you can find like pipes and all that for the fucking 1800s and shit. And I don't know how true any of this is, but that's what I heard. Right, which is I think the only scientific sort of thing you need. Can you put that in a PhD? That's what I heard
Probably.
anyway.
Yeah, that's like kind of archaeology, isn't it?
Aye, I guess.
What was your point though? You found pipes?
There
No,
are
I'm just
old
saying that you can find shit from the fucking 1800s and that if you just wander about at the shores of the Thames. Like there's just stuff still washing up.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
The Mr. Bean teacher that. I think you got the wrong Mr. Bean.
Professor being.
It's Dr. Bean, actually. No, sorry, Professor Bean. Yeah.
Are you a doctor?
Yeah, a
PhD.
crayfish doctor.
Crayfish doctor.
Yeah.
Well, if you stop treating them, then they'll fucking die.
That's cool. Do you agree with the zoos? As a zoologist?
I've got mixed feelings.
Yeah.
I think they do some good stuff, but it feels a bit wrong. You remember that polar bear in the Edinburgh Zoo? How sad that was. Did you ever go and see that?
No.
Was it just one of them?
Seen the
Just one of them.
pandas?
I never
the
saw
penguins seem pretty happy. They waddle about.
They're the
They're
big
marching
show
about.
piece,
They
aren't
get let out their pen, don't they?
Oh, they've got a show and everything, don't they?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Fringe.
They're probably like a kind of Robin Williams-esque that thing. They need to put on a big song and dance, but inside the
crying.
hut.
Crying a river inside the penguins.
Because if zoos are a problematic thing these days, surely zoology as a thing, maybe does it need to change its name?
Well, that's actually a common misconception, Mark. Zoologists are not just zookeepers.
No, I know that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's associated with the name.
Yeah,
you.
but
I
zoology,
don't think you're a zookeeper.
I think it's like you do a degree in zoology and everyone's like, oh, you're a zookeeper. And it's like, no, I'm not.
Study
It just means that
animals.
you study animals.
Aye.
How did you land on crayfish then? Why the crayfish?
It just came up. You don't really get to. There's not much choice.
You don't get to do lions or something like that?
You could, but I guess like my PhD was in Scotland, so
Yeah, not in the Clyde. You
you're a
can't.
bit more limited.
Your waders are looking for lions.
Yeah, I just liked water. I liked rivers and lochs. I just thought they were cool.
So you basically just so you can, like your West End mum character, just stare in the River Kelvin all the time.
Yeah, there's crayfish in the Kelvin actually.
Is there?
Yeah, they've made it in there. It's not good.
I can't even picture a crayfish. What's a crayfish look like?
It's like a lobster but smaller,
Ah, yeah.
and it's in fresh water instead of
They
salt water.
tasty. Can you eat them?
You
Crayfish
can
tails.
eat them. I've never actually eaten them. I felt a bit weird about it. I'm not really big into shellfish anyway, but when I was studying them, I was like, it's like an added level of weird to eat.
Yeah, that would be a bit creepy.
We
Yeah,
used to
I
sell
had
them at potato
friends.
shed.
You what?
As a potato topping.
Yeah,
Potato.
it's
Was
so
it?
crayfish.
Wasn't
right.
a popular seller.
No, I wouldn't
Yeah.
imagine so.
No.
And the crayfish that you probably sold would not have been from here. It was probably imported from like China.
It was
or
certainly
Louisiana.
frozen. Yeah.
That's
That's
all
all I
they're
know.
probably
Kelvin
fine.
crayfish.
And then-
Yeah, they're still alive.
Fucking indestructible. So they're basically like cockroaches, like after the apocalypse,
Yeah,
or the inevitable nuclear weapon that's coming our way soon. Probably
that'll be all that's left.
still the crayfish. Maybe they'll repopulate the earth.
We're laughing now, but everyone's going to be like, yeah, Mark was right.
Mark was
When
right.
he
We've
said
all
that.
got fucking.
When crayfish evolve to the point where they can get back on the internet and all that, and then they'll
'cause
listen to this and
we
go,
came from the sea, didn't we? as a humans. We crawled out of the sea, didn't we, and then evolved.
On our
That's-
bellies.
Is that right?
That's correct.
That's where it
I'm not
began.
making that up.
Yeah, began in there.
If you believe in evolution.
It's hard to remember that far back, isn't it?
Just loads of pipes and us and our bellies. Where does comedy fit into all this then, Zara? When was the first time you were sort of doing that?
I think it's actually crayfish that got me into comedy.
No way.
Because they're so funny.
Taylor's oldest time.
A crayfish tail. As all this time. I think even when I was writing up my PhD and doing my PhD, I took solace in comedy. Doing a PhD can be quite harrowing.
Aye.
So you need to have a laugh. At one point, I was doing a project about freshwater pearl mussels and how crayfish impact them. And I don't know, I think when you're doing a PhD, you do go a bit insane. And I was writing up like late at night, and I wrote this chapter about the mussels, but I just filled it with like clip art of like bodybuilders and like pictures of like mussels and stuff. Because I thought this was really funny. And then I sent it to my supervisors as like a joke. And like, you know, looking back, I thought that was hilarious. And now I'm like, what the fuck was wrong with me? But anyway, that's a total tangent. I think the reason I got into comedy back then was I got an email one day inviting me to take part in this thing called Bright Club.
Oh,
Which,
right, the stand.
It started, it ran at the stand. It started in Scotland and Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And they were looking for scientists and researchers to do comedy about their topic. So I signed up for that and then did my first gig at the Edinburgh Cafe.
Okay.
And then my second gig at the Fringe. And it was this whole big thing. And then from that, I then started up a Bright Club in Glasgow, which initially I ran at the Admiral, and then we moved to the Stand. And I did that for like 4 or 5 years and then stopped
Right.
doing it. 'cause it
cool.
was-
So was it all academic comedy you were doing?
yeah, and not just science. It was like, there was like training, like we would kind of recruit researchers from lots of different unis, and then they would, within a couple of weeks, put a set together about whatever random topic they were doing.
Right. Was it fun though? Was it like good audiences and stuff?
Yeah, it was like a really like supportive audience, like quite
Yeah.
a geeky audience, a lot of academics, a lot of students. So it was like one of the safest ways that you could try out doing comedy. So I probably had quite a nice like entry point into doing comedy, or a good first experience, because I'd come through the Bright Club.
Did you use any of the pictures of the muscle men and all that in your
No,
set?
no, I think let's just forget about that.
I need the projector up, but this is going to kill this.
What year was that then, your first gig?
2011.
Right, wow.
Yeah, but then I've
You've
just
been going longer than us.
But then I haven't, because like I got obsessed with it and I did it for like a year or so back then, and then I just stopped completely. And then 2014, when the Indie Ref campaign started back, I got really into the Indie Ref and the Yes campaign, and I started doing comedy again as a way of like campaigning. And then in 2015, when it was just, everything was getting worse after the no vote, I gave up comedy again. So I'm only coming back to it again now. So I've been like really inconsistent. Like I'll do it for a year, I'll stop. I'll do it for a few months, I'll stop. And it's only now that I'm trying to like make more time for it and actually do it in a more consistent way.
Yeah, because it was during lockdown, I think. It was the first time I'd seen your videos and stuff like that. And was it part of lockdown why you started making stuff and
Yeah,
put them online?
I'd had like a breakup just before the lockdown. We were living together, we had a flat together. They announced the lockdown and I was like, we can't live together. Like, so he moved out, and then I was locked down on my own for the whole of lockdown, basically. Which is quite intense when you've just had a breakup, because you don't get to like go out with your pals.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it was just me and my thoughts.
Not even,
So
not even the
I just
crayfish
started going
for you.
fucking mental. And then obviously I was on TikTok and then watching lots of other stuff. And I think I was just really restless in the lockdown. Like I didn't have any attention span. I couldn't watch a film. So I just started making silly videos.
Cool.
And that's the thing though as well, like, because obviously when you started, because I think I'd done my first gigs back about 2011 as well, and then didn't really start properly for like another year. Back then it was like, obviously social media and that was about, but the way that you can do it now with TikTok and Reels and all these type of things, that kind of path hadn't really sort of transpired yet. So like there was no way to, so really all you could do was go out and do gigs and stuff like that, which is a certain particular way to live your life,
Yeah.
and not always the most enjoyable or, maybe necessarily the way that people want to. But nowadays, you can make, just make content and put it out there and find an audience, and it's all kind of, that infrastructure's there. So it's like, it's probably just kind of came at the right time by the sounds of it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think, TikTok's helped kind of diversify who can do comedy. Like Sophie Rose McCabe, who I met on TikTok, she's a single mum. She doesn't have time to go out every night. She always has to worry about childcare. But, if she's stuck in the house, she can just chuck out a TikTok whenever she wants.
Yeah.
And it's the same for audiences, people that are stuck in the house that can't go out and see comedy.
Yeah,
you can
that's
just, I mean, I'm the same. Like, I'm 38. I can't be arsed. I'll be honest. Like, I can't be, like, I do go out and do live gigs, but I'm not. I think in 2011 I was like obsessed, and I was like driving to Dundee and all of that. But I just, if you can just like be like snuggled up in bed, like with a cup of tea on your phone watching comedy, that's kind of like that. So
Absolutely. And during lockdown as well, with Zoom gigs and stuff, there was a lot of people that were watching it saying, like, if they were disabled or that this is the only way they could see like live stand up, essentially, which was quite good. You'd think. Because now lockdown's over, you don't really get Zoom gigs and stuff, and a lot of comedians didn't like them, but it was good for people who couldn't maybe access certain venues and stuff. So
They're saying that, like, a lot of people now just obviously film other stuff and put it online all the time and all that, so I guess like more of that's came out, and I think that the lockdown really made people realise that, they do need to be putting out content a lot, because that's where people's attention is, effectively. It's on their phones and stuff like that, so and the fact that we can just make stuff easier and stuff, you've got a lot more sort of control over your own stuff now, basically. What was the first video that popped off for you that you really thought, this is something that I should kind of pursue more actively?
I think like pre-TikTok, I've always loved doing like musical parodies. So even before all of the TikTok stuff recently, I think the first viral video that I made was in 2012 when I did a parody of Katy Perry's Last Friday Night about a night out in Glasgow, which I just filmed with one of my friends, and that went about as viral as you could call it in like 2012. And then when the indie rep happened, again, so inconsistent, 2 years later, I was like, I might do a bit of comedy again. I did this other character, Lady Alba, that was like a Lady Gaga parody about Scotland's relationship with the UK, so it was called Bad Romance, and that went kind of viral on YouTube. But it's funny looking back at those videos because they're like 4 or 5 minutes long. It's like who watches that?
Yeah, no one's got the attention span anymore.
No. And then fast forward to the pandemic, I did another one, a TikTok that was a musical parody of Mystique, Scandalous, that was about the lockdown. Which Alicia Dixon liked. So yeah, I'm retiring.
Claim to fame, that's great.
So yeah, those ones have all kind of popped. But yeah, obviously on TikTok, it's the West End mum that seems to have touched a nerve for whatever reason.
I love that one. It's just like, I love how there's just so many wee things in it. You're like, I fucking like the on more and all that kind of shit. Like, what were you going to say? Sorry, sir.
Fuck, who cares? I don't know.
Here's my question, right? Are you fae the West End?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. How close are you to that character? Or is it based on like friends and stuff like that? What was the origin of the West End mum?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot. My mum is from Pollock, but she lives in the West End now. I grew up not right in the West End, but adjacent. I work in the West End. I work at Glasgow Uni, so I'm very much immersed in that world. And yeah, I'll be honest, like I do like a glass of wine on the chips. So shoot me. I like a pasta donata. But
They're coming up
I'm not a mum
these days. Pasta donuts.
Yeah.
That shop's good.
Yeah.
It's
Buyers
great.
are
I mean,
really
it's
really good.
TMB loves them.
expensive, but they're crispy,
They're good.
I've never
layered
had one.
pastry.
Oh, mate, you got.
Never had one.
Should have told me. I could have brought some.
Oh,
Could have had a live
We got given free
tasting.
ones at Nando's that time. Did you not even have one then?
I didn't get one that time. It was only you two.
Free one in
I've never had
Nando's.
I
Yeah,
think
the
I've
Nando's
had-
ones aren't great, to be
They
fair.
do them in Nando's.
They do them in
Wow, I didn't
Nando's
expect
now.
that.
Portuguese.
A bit gauche.
Oh, okay, of course.
Yeah.
I didn't. Why did I not understand that? Is Nando's Portuguese?
Yeah,
Aye, kind of.
I think the kid
Brazil-
on there is they're not starting South Africa or something.
Yeah,
I
but
think so.
But it's not.
Nobody
Okay.
knows.
they pretend it's Portuguese, I think.
My mate swears, right? He used to work in the one in St Enoch Centre, and he swears that one time Nando came in
Shut the fuck up.
and he said to him, "All right, Nando, have you been to Nando's before?"
The Nando.
There isn't a Nando. Surely.
There must be a Nando.
Mr. Nando. Would
Is
Fair
Nando the
Nando?
first name or
Yeah. it would be-
I'm assuming it's short for Fernando.
Oh.
No.
But if you can't call it Fernando's, because then it's like that place that
Can't
they
even
send
guess,
them on
yeah.
fucking Take Me Out.
Yeah,
But there must be an Nando. It's like there's an everybody. There's a fucking,
that's an every.
there was a JP Morgan and all that shit.
There's not a Papa John though.
What?
That's not real, is
Oh,
it?
come on.
You're buying the brand here, Mark. You've got
Yeah.
to.
But why would you call it that unless your name was Nando?
Unless your name was Papa John.
Apparently, Marks and Spencer's, the guy who used to be Marks with an X. It was a Russian guy.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was like Marks.
Kind of goes
not
against
to
all
you.
of the Carter's Carol Marks. I think.
I know. I know that, Foxy.
But anyway, there's an element of you that likes the finer things of the West End.
I love food. I like eating out, but I'm not a mum, and I don't want to be a mum. It looks shit.
We're
it doesn't.
getting the way.
You
of
make it
being
look pretty good, actually. So I'm just doing it for fucking.
It's funny, like after that video, I had lots of people say who did not have kids or who were like just like gay men, been like, I didn't realize I was a West End mum. I think it's a way of life.
Yeah.
It's a philosophy. It's a lifestyle. Get with it.
You've started your own religion, basically.
Yeah.
The West End.
it's like
mum.
In the
Dude.
Oran Moor is where we come to worship.
Which is where your show is.
It is
Yeah.
where
Which is
the show
perfect,
is.
really.
Yeah, it's ideal.
That's right. That's like Chris Forburn's doing a film show in the GFT.
Yeah.
You're doing
Yeah.
yours in the Oran Moor. It's that kind of thing. See the way you're saying that? Is that like a kid on way to say it, or that? Because I know
that
that's
how you actually
is that
say
how you're meant to pronounce it? Because that always get the wee dash.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it Gaelic?
Fuck, that's
It is. I
Probably.
googled this recently back. I think it means.
What?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't. It means like big little green or something. It doesn't make sense.
oh really?
Yeah. Or
But-
the place next to it means that.
Aye.
Something like that.
But they do all. There's that as a kind of like just like over pronouncing it like that is kind of the sort of thing that the
Yeah.
West End mum would do.
There's certain words that I love to hear in that West End accent. I was having a curry, so I think I was in Mother India, and there was a guy at the next table, and he was like, sorry, he was like, have you got any chapatis? That is so good. It's that kind of breathy chapatis. Or just the kind of the way, when people like pronounce foreign words, like, I don't know, if you've got a friend called Luciana, like, they get like really kind of pretentious sort of.
Yeah. They go for it.
Yeah.
Here's a question, because this is something that people often bring up, because I suppose another way that people call it is the Glasgow Uni accent, and
Yeah.
that's what they call it. Do you think that sort of West End Glasgow Uni accent, is that something that occurs naturally, like if you just live in the West End, or is it like, because people often say it's like a fake accent, it's something that people sort of, it's
Put
affected, I suppose people would call it. It's put on, you develop it because you go to Glasgow Uni, start being a bit of a snob or whatever. I mean, it happened to me, obviously. But no, I mean, I just wonder, like, is it like a sort of native language to that weird bubble of Glasgow? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get told I've got a Glasgow Uni accent. I think my accent's changed a lot through time though, because I've got videos of me when I was quite young, and I sound like weirdly East Coast. Like my dad's from Elgin,
Oh.
and there's a video of me doing a Halloween sort of trick or treat thing, and I'm telling a joke which I can remember. It's like, what's red, yellow, green, and blue? A box of crayons. Like, it's just weird. So I used to speak like that, and then I don't know when things change for me. Like,
Did you use that at the break club?
should have done. I would have.
Very
They
entry
would have
level.
loved that.
I think you'll find actually some professor of colour or something.
I'm sure people probably do modulate their accents when depending on the environment they're in. I mean, even like people that I went to school with, I went to a nice school. Wasn't a private school, but it was a nice school. It may as well have been. And a lot of kids had quite middle class backgrounds. but then you would see them trying to be hard, like, and they would put on like these. They would just try and like kind of make their accent sound more like streetwise, whatever, and it just makes me. It just made me cringe. I was like, what? What are you doing? But I think that's just natural, isn't it? It's humans just trying to fit in.
Aye.
Yeah.
I definitely think my accent's changing. Like you say, like if you listen back to old stuff, like I definitely have got more well spoken, and it's not even after going
Definitely
to.
have got more well spoken.
Aye, well, you know, there's still enough of the fucking daft way I've always spoken there, but because I did go to Glasgow Uni, but I graduated when I was like 20, and still pretty young. I was still hanging about in Clydebank and all that. But I think for me, it's been working in a call centre where I had to speak to English people all the time. Obviously, having been to uni and stuff like that as well, and sort of knowing how to speak a bit properly, and then doing comedy and having to do gigs to English people all the time when I'm in Edinburgh. And no, but that is partly it. And then you just kind of, so naturally, you just develop, like you just, I don't know, get a wee bit more. I always say my accent's more elastic now, because sometimes I can. When I'm not really, I can switch up. Basically, I just put in a wee bit more effort to speak a bit more properly sometimes. But when I'm tired and can't be arsed, I'll just like basically be mumbling half the time.
Well, one of our pals who lived in London for a while.
Aye.
Who grew up quite close to you, speaks completely different now.
Aye, he don't know anymore, but it's like it is funny I think it's funny when you meet people from Glasgow that live in London, and I remember hearing one of my mates, and he had like a sort of kind of sales job, and he was on the phone like when he was in the car with us, like doing something for his work, and like it's that way that like you obviously kind of need to talk to be understood and be taken seriously properly in a professional environment, but it's just like the whole time you're just like, it's just so fucking cringe to hear.
You're not meant to hear that.
No,
that's not
aye.
for you.
No.
Do you know what I equate it to actually, right? Like, see that way when you hear a Scottish person talking to English people, it's sort of like, see if you're out with your pal and then their partner phones them.
Yeah,
And they start talking like, and then you're just looking like, you don't normally fucking talk that way.
It's like good social skills, though, like you said, really. It's you do adapt to, you read the room, don't you, of whatever room you're in.
Aye, exactly.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
You can overdo it, I suppose.
Yeah, but then I guess it's like one thing that's like Lemmy just never, he just always does his own accent the way he talks, and it's refreshing. Even if he was on Charlie Brooker's Weekly Wipe or whatever, he'd be talking the exact same way, talking about fences and fucking Victoria Park and stuff.
Have you read his audio book?
Yeah.
Read his audio book?
I listened to it.
Yeah, I listened to it. Where he talks about...
You know that we've not actually read the thing. We've listened to it. That's
I wanted to listen because of the way he was.
I listened to it. I think that's the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
It's in his authentic voice or whatever. But the bit where he gets this, he's really excited to get the script for being on the IT Crowd.
Yeah.
But then when he reads it, his heart sinks because it's just like unintelligible Glaswegian, and it doesn't really have proper lines in it.
Yeah, which is interesting because when I watched it originally, that episode, I was like, I just assumed it was just up, because he was speaking through a bit of glass, and then that was the joke, and then he comes and he still sounds the same, but then I didn't get that it was meant to be a Scottish guy who you can't understand. I just thought it was just a guy with a daft voice. But it's interesting that in the script it said that it was like
It's just a massive stereotype still.
Exactly, yeah.
It is disheartening how often that is a go-to joke for English people, at Scottish people, particularly because when you do comedy, the whole thing is talking. And if their joke about you is that they can't understand what the fuck you're saying,
It's an existential threat to your act.
basically, exactly.
And you have to fit into how they perceive Scottish people to be, or how Glaswegian people to be. So it's like if I was to pitch even the West End mum character, they'd be like, there's middle class people in Glasgow. There's bits of Glasgow that are nice. No, sorry, they'd be in an English accent, but unless it's like it's about heroin addiction and single mums and alcoholics. That's not really how we see Scotland, so we're not interested.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember talking about Lemmy. I seen Lemmy do his live show at the Hammersmith Apollo. I was doing in London when he done it, so I went along, and I'd seen it in Glasgow, and I was like amazed because he didn't change a syllable, And at first I was thinking, oh, it's probably just a lot of Scottish people here. And there's like people behind me, it's like, he's got no business being in Yoker and all that. Like, it was really funny. And I'm like, wow. But I guess, and to go back to what we were talking about, it's like, I think for him, the reason he's been able to do that as opposed to like Bridges or Frankie or any of us really who need to do gigs where you go down and you play an English audience who don't know who you are, so you kind of need to meet them halfway and be like, right, understand. But see if you've developed an audience online who are used to watching your stuff and listening to you, you don't need to kind of, make those sort of concessions.
It'd be completely bizarre to go see Lemmy in London.
And he would be
hear him talking the Queen's English or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so patronising to the audience as well, isn't it? That they wouldn't understand that. If you're a commissioner, a London-based commissioner, and you're looking at some Scottish comedy, like, oh, that's not going to work. It's like, well, try it.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand the news because I watch the news and I've grown up with that accent, so why not give it a go?
There's also a big thing about putting Scottish programmes on network, UK wide. Like Still Game didn't make it until like the new ones, like way past the sort of when they could have done, and it would have been fine and people would have enjoyed it. And, it's mad.
Well, it's even like that Poor Things film that just came out. And like, because I read that in uni, the Alistair Gray book, and then there's like a whole bit in that, I think, where it's like talking about why Glasgow's a great city, why did we never notice that? And it's like, it's because it's never, where films are set and all that, and so people imagine living in Paris and New York, and they never imagine living in Glasgow. Then finally, this fucking book that's all about Park Circus in fucking Glasgow gets made, and they just change it to some weird sort of Victorian London or something.
Yeah, they literally knew the address, didn't they? Like, it's a very specific address.
There was maps and all that in the book of like where it is and stuff. Like, but have you seen that film?
I have seen it.
What did you think? Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed it.
No, I've heard it's good.
But yeah, it's still a shame, isn't it? Especially when you saw the other cities like Lisbon. Where else did they go?
Paris.
And then there's Glasgow. Could have had its moment.
Yeah, easily. And there was a time that I was doing like this radio. I was doing stand up, and it was a radio thing recording, and the English producer was like, "Oh, I say bin in the set," and she was like, "Oh, it's in your Scottish accent. It's too hard to understand. Can you say dustbin just so it's clear for the audience?" And I was like, "What?
Who the fuck says dustbin?"
Yeah, who says dustbin?
My old man
Victorian.
just
Exactly. Yeah, fucking Dick Van Dyke or some shit. It's just so bizarre. And then
You should have just committed to that and gone full.
And it was just
presumably the
weird.
script, the stereotypical script was, "I live in a dustbin." Get out of my dustbin!
One big dustbin. Do you know what I mean? But it was just so awkward, and I think I did do it, and I just felt I was cringing inside when I was doing it.
Have you got a recording of it?
Not on like my computer or anything. Maybe you'd be able to find it in some sort of.
What do you remember
archive.
the context? What?
Was it the talking about?
Drop the boy
like,
off in the bin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what would an English person mishear that as though?
But it was for BBC World Service or something like that. So I think it gets played in America or some shit, and they're like, they wouldn't know what.
In the trash can.
Trash.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they did ask me to say trash can at first, and I said, I'm not saying trash can. You just drop them off in the trash can. That was so they're like, say dustbin. I was like, can you not just say bin?
No, well, it's one thing to hear somebody sort of pandering for an English crowd. It's a different thing to hear it for an American audience. That's when you really.
I was on the sidewalk.
When you're mowing the lawn on the sidewalk.
But then, like, they're not that thick. They would know what a fucking pavement is or something. Do you know what I mean? Or
Well, we're able to do it in reverse. I watch American comedians talk about Wendy's or whatever, and I
yeah.
get that it's a restaurant.
exactly.
Yeah, when you hear about
Fanny
Walgreens.
packs and,
Yeah.
I remember I
Say
did.
fanny packs on the radio.
I remember, yes, it's a totally different thing. I remember one time doing a gig in, I was talking about living with my parents. I said I live with my parents, and this English guy said to me, "I thought you said I'm in love with my parents." And then so I started changing it to I stay with my parents, but I don't think English
They
people
don't
say
say
that.
I didn't get that either.
So then it's like there's no
As in,
I've
like,
picked up on
not
that a few
divorcing
times.
them.
aye,
Yeah.
aye, exactly. Like
What do you mean? Why would they not?
I'm like, where do you stay? And they're like, do you mean where I live? Like,
Yeah, it's not a thing.
it's like how old are you? There's a thing about that. I think if you say what age are you, they get confused by that as well.
Right.
I don't know.
Fucking thick these people.
I know that.
Yeah. How could you be?
I don't think it's anything to do with the accent. It's just fucking no again. You know. Carry on. Sorry to any English people listening, which is all two of you.
I don't get how you wouldn't know what to stay with.
I guess I don't know if it maybe means to them like you're just staying there for the weekend. Or like, because we say, "Oh, I stay in Glasgow," or whatever.
I guess if you took it like
Right.
properly, literally, like not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I not move with my parents.
I suppose, yeah. But maybe because I've just said it so many times,
Yeah.
I'm just used to what we say it as.
No. Here's a question, Zara. How do you look at the difference in the circuit for when you started and when you were doing gigs in kind of 2012 and all that to when you came back after the pandemic? Have you noticed any difference?
A lot of different people. I mean, when I was doing it, Eleanor Morton was doing a lot of the Bright
Oh,
Club
cool.
hosting and gigs, and she was doing her ukulele music like
Yeah.
in between acts and stuff. So she was there. Some of the same
So
acts.
she's not got a ukulele anymore. That's the
No,
main
that's
difference.
changed. And obviously she's
It's
she's
not quite the
massive
same.
on
It's not
TikTok
much has
now.
changed, but we live underwater. Is it?
Loads of crazy.
Still crayfish getting it.
Yeah.
aye.
I guess there's more diversity, which is good. There's more women doing it. But I wasn't really on the circuit that long.
Aye.
I wasn't even really on the circuit. I was just in a little Bright Club bubble. So
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And even now you're saying you've not been doing heaps of gigs, right? Like you say.
not really. Like I've done a few nights. Like I've done Chris Thorburn Drygate night about 100 times.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
I've done Diversity Quota. I've done Red Raw. I've done like a scattering of different things, but I've not really been chasing gigs
It's
or
gonna
anything.
be. I mean, is this the first time you've done a solo show like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be mad. It's gonna be a crazy feeling for you. Get up. Or
Yeah.
well, was it 350 or something? Or-
270 times 2. Yeah.
I don't mean to incur dread.
It's gonna be fine. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. But yeah, I was saying just when I came in, I'm also every now and then I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I don't actually have to do this.
Yeah.
But then like when it went in the comedy festival program, and then when it sold out, I was like, no, I have to do this
Well,
now.
people really want to see it if they're,
Committed
if
to
they're
it.
selling it
Exactly.
out. I think you'd be fine.
That scared me at the beginning as well, because when I initially was wanting to do a show, I wasn't really thinking about characters and the TikTok stuff and the West End mum. But then I had a sort of almost like an identity crisis. I was like, people aren't coming to see me, they're coming to see Aileen and the other characters that I do.
Characters,
So I
yeah.
had to totally rejig what I was planning to do, but I've come to a compromise. So Aileen will be there, there'll be other characters there, but there is a little section that is also just me. So
Right.
sneak that in.
So is that will
Like me.
will you be like introducing it as that, or is it kind of embedded in the middle?
It's kind of, yeah, I don't even, what am I doing?
Without spoiling it? Like, will
Without
you-
spoiling it, yeah, the different characters are going to be introducing each other.
Right, okay.
And one of them is me, and then another one is Aileen, and then I've also got a Scottish singer-songwriter guy that is coming out as well. That I'm more excited about doing him than I am the West End mum. I can't wait.
Are you able to give us any of his song titles, or are they spoilers? As well?
There's one called Drinking by the Fire.
I've seen it. Very earnest, right? Very
Yeah,
earnest,
he's
kinda
just like
Scottish
the kind of
singer-songwriter.
guy that loves Celtic connections, loves a whiskey, an ill-advised whiskey, and he runs open mics. He used to be in bands, but it maybe never took off. So he's a little bit bitter. It's similar
Completely
to comedy,
fictional
like it's
character.
funny, like the music scene and the comedy scene. There's obviously overlap in the kind of you're going to get some like older, disgruntled guys who never quite made it and are maybe
Yeah.
a bit misogynistic and resentful. So he's a bit like that.
Yeah.
but in music.
See when when you've started developing characters and stuff like that, because that's obviously like when I'm walking about and stuff like that, like I have an idea, I want to write it in my phone, but it's always like kind of with the idea of like, oh, that's maybe a bit for observational comedy. But I probably am guilty of not doing enough of this, which is I imagine you're probably walking about and you meet somebody of a certain archetype and you go, do you know what, there's a character in that kind of person. Is that are your radars kind of up for that when you're out and about and you're meeting different people and stuff?
Yeah, I don't think I go looking for it, but
No.
then something will happen and then I'm like, oh my God. And then I get almost like frenzied and I have to, like when I get an idea, I have to like record it immediately. So Yeah, it's never when I go looking for it. It might be I've gone to a gig, and it's been full of like psych bros, and then I'm like, oh my god, that is a character. Like a guy who's really into psychedelics and like and like acid music and stuff. And then I'll rush home and then I'll record that character. So it's, or I watched the news and that, you know, the Scottish news reader character that I've got was just like, oh, I'd seen the news that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is actually mental. Why do they do that?
And there's something about that rush when you get that idea and you're like just choking to get it done and out as soon as possible, because you're kind of like, oh, like this is such a thing that,
Yeah.
you know, before anyone else thinks the idea and does it, whatever, you want to kind of get your version of it out, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's why TikTok's great, because you could literally just do it in a couple of minutes.
Aye, 100%. I know, no.
I'm
But-
jealous of that.
Yeah, no, let's I definitely do think, like, because I probably don't do enough of that now. Sometimes I just, you know, if I meet somebody that's weird or annoying, I just kind of try and leave. But
It's a good way of see if someone wrongs you. Like, I love a vengeance arc, and like some of like the comedy I've enjoyed doing the most has come from a place of vengeance and revenge. So if you meet someone who has really pissed you off, that could be a character, and you can like, it's like, I should probably get therapy, but instead you can just
so was there a
channel it.
West End mum that really pissed you off in the ubiquitous chip or something, and that's
I mean, I've definitely met some really entitled people
kind of
in
snobby.
the West End. Yeah, I'm working in academia as well.
Right enough, aye. But that is a thing, that, isn't it? It's like, yeah, if you can kind of take the piss out of someone and completely demolish their character, because I suppose the best revenge for you would be somebody sharing your video
Yeah.
and then
Of
going,
them.
I thought you were going to do
that's
that.
you.
This wee
Yeah.
quote that
Sure
you used
you're
to do.
funny.
No, I'm not going to do the Bobby Sands quote. I mean, he did say our revenge with the laughter of our children. It's not, I mean, it's, you know, it's only paradoxically
You love
related
that
here.
quote.
Well, no, I just did that. I had a bit. Let's not
All
get in
right,
it.
okay.
Anyway, let's not get in it. But yeah, that must be the best thing. Like, because if somebody pisses you off and you do a character based on them, and then their mates send them in a WhatsApp chat going, this is like you, and then they go, oh fuck, that is actually based on me.
Yeah, if it does really well, it's just mwah. it's so sweet. But yeah, in general, if anyone like wrongs you or like tells you you're shite, you can channel that and try and prove them wrong. It's a good motivator.
I know, I'm still trying.
How do you deal with? I hate like reading comments. Do you respond to people and stuff?
I try not to. Every now and then I crack though, and I do reply. But
Like
Yeah.
if it's negative stuff.
if
would you
it's
reply?
negative, and it's things people leave loads of like really nice comments,
Yeah.
but it's just the negative ones that
You
you
focus
on.
Yeah.
And it's funny. There's a distinction in the trolls that you get on different platforms as well. I've noticed, like on Facebook, it's the Facebook boomer troll. And they quite often, like their profiles will be fully public with their names and everything. So I quite enjoy that and they don't bother me as much because some of the comments they leave are just like so like unhinged. But because they're public, you can then go on their page. You can look at photos of their grandchildren. You can like really take a deep dive on who they are and like. That's quite satisfying, and I actually have used that as material as well. So in my show, I've got a song that's like entirely crowdsourced using troll comments. Whereas on Twitter, it tends to be like, well, it's quite grim, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
more like actual Nazis.
Yeah.
Like,
People who could kill you probably.
yeah, it's funny. Like I've been accused of both being part of the Jewish BBC propaganda machine,
Wow.
but also like, you know, anti-Semitic. So it's like you can be like attacked from all angles, as
Yeah.
well as obviously being a woman.
Yeah.
And people are obsessed with my hair as well. My fringe in particular, like really offends people. It really winds them up. It's bizarre.
How do you react to that type of?
Do you know what? Like,
Are you like sticking with the fringe more now because you think I can't change
well,
it
it's
now?
like it's kind of
Weak
become a
fuck.
signature now, and it's like, well, you think this is bad? Like, guess what's underneath it? Like, I just think, yeah, well, I don't really know what to do with it. It's like it's just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I Do you know what I liked with the West End mum thing was the one she goes to the south side.
Oh yeah.
She's like proper like can't believe like he was just a fish out of water, I suppose, literally. Is that like because and also I think Sophie you mentioned her character is the south side. Oh no, the Edinburgh person.
Edinburgh,
isn't it?
yeah. So there's a wee rivalry, but yeah, I mean the South Side thing, yeah, 100% true. Like I don't think I went to the South Side until my 20s. That's not quite true, but I've got loads of friends in the South Side. I just think like the element of that video that is true is that the public transport between the West End and the South Side is so bad.
It's hard to get.
It's actually easier to go to Edinburgh. For me,
I can't
like,
get my head around buses in Glasgow still.
They're
How is there
shite.
different companies running the buses?
yeah.
And they've got the same numbers. And then you'll give them your return and they're like, that's no use. And you're like, what the fuck, you're a bus? Fucking take me home. What are you talking about?
With the buses near me, like there's the first in like Avondale or something of the mad shitey fucking dodgy companies, right?
McCall's as well.
Aye, all these type of ones. But they now there's the cliche or two buses come at once. Well, they do that here,
that.
but it's because they like kind of race each other to try and because there's hardly anyone getting on the bus, so they race each other to try and get like the two people that are meant to pick it
Well,
up.
they're on commission, these drivers.
I don't know, but it's like if the first bus stops or something, and this fucking guy takes over, he's like, "I'm going to get the next fucking stop," and I'm like, but it's just aye, but it does my nothing. I don't get the bus anymore because I drive, but it does my nothing because anytime, whenever I see it now, I always look and go. I had to struggle for this for ages because you wait another 20 minutes for the next two buses to come. And I always think if my motor's fucked, I'm going to be back at square one and waiting on these bastards. So
Did anyone else get a Valentine's card from First Bus?
From first bus.
Why have
Yeah.
they got your home address?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I think they were maybe just like leaflets, like, you know, a new Chinese opens and they give you a leaflet.
all
It was
right.
a big love heart and it was like a roses are red, violets are blue. We need more bus drivers. What about you? So, it was something like that. I was so fucking confused reading it.
Oh,
I thought everyone got it. I didn't realize it was just me.
Is this
Head
just telling
hunted.
us that you're
Well, I
a bus
can't drive,
driver
so
now?
I'm working on it. Gonna try and learn
have you
it.
ever
Must
had
have some of the other fucking companies.
have you ever had a genuine anonymous Valentine?
I had one, yeah, when I was younger, and then it turns out it was my gran. But I was really excited about it, and then years later, I was like, I wonder who my secret admirer is. They're still out there. My mum was like, that was your gran.
Oh.
It was nice getting a wee bit of hope. I was like getting a wee bit of hope. You know,
Yeah, a wee
you
bit.
know,
of-
even-
Yeah, I had one at nursery school, but I knew who it was, and I was like 3, so it's a bit weird. And then I had one in my 20s, but it was an e-card.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
like an
Just
email.
like very naughties. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and you remember you got e-cards and it was, you'd click a link and it would be like, ooh, and it would like play a little song or whatever.
They didn't even pay like a quid for a card.
No.
Even.
Not
That's
even a funky
Yeah,
pigeon.
cheapskate.
poor. Yeah.
Do you know something similar to the e-card that probably for a bit people thought this could be a thing? E-books. You know,
Right.
and you'd like, read it on the screen, but then your eyes would be fucking bleeding because of how sore it. Like,
Still get
like
Kindles?
Yeah, not like
no,
a
I
Kindle,
guess,
though.
but that's the
Kindle
Kindle now. But
screen's
it's-
like meant to be nice on your eyes, is it?
Yeah.
yes, it is, and it's but ebooks. It was like. You would download, you'd get a PDF and you'd read it on Adobe Reader on your fucking, your computer or
Desktop.
whatever.
Zooming in.
Because I guess probably what you download on a Kindle is an ebook, but it's just you fucking download it and you buy it. Whereas like you used to get ones like, and you would actually like physically, like you'd put it on in the USB drive and on that. But it's just who's remember ebooks?
Your trials.
It was just that, but it's similar to the kind of like the mini disc player or something. It was like a kind of time and a place
Flash in
where,
time, yeah.
aye, yeah.
Did you ever send an anonymous card to a
No.
potential suitor?
Oh.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
It wasn't anonymous, but I did send. I was seeing this last bit of note. It hadn't been that long, and it was one
What
of those
age?
ones. I was like, it's probably 22 or something like that, and it was one of those ones. I probably liked her a wee bit more than she liked me. So maybe it's partly
Classic.
overcompensation, and it was also this is the classic. Listen to your ma, don't listen to your ma. She's like, oh, I send her a nice flowers or whatever. So and she worked in a school and I sent her flowers to school and she had no idea who it was for because she was that like couldn't be fucked
Was
with
she
me.
texting you going,
And then I
"Oh,
was like me, and then it's like, but then it's when it's then you, and then if they find out, and it's like, oh no. But whatever.
So you sent it to a place you worked?
It was yeah.
So all our
I
colleagues
guess.
saw
Well, I
it in
guess
front
it's
of
probably
everyone.
the class. It's probably more the class was
Oh,
embarrassing.
okay.
But it's, it's still like I guess it's a nice thing still. But
It's nice to
I
get
was just
flowers,
trying to
isn't
be. I was trying to be romantic, but then it just basically the thing is you need to be sure the person likes you back.
Yeah.
It's like a proposal. You
To
gotta-
do it,
If
aye.
you're
Yeah.
seeing them, I think that's
It would
merited,
have been
I would
fine
say.
if she.
Liked
Was
you.
into it.
Yes,
Hold on, how long were you saying this, girl?
it was been. I don't know. It was probably like a couple of weeks or something. It's just one of those ones. It was an awkward time.
How many
you
dates?
can't
I don't
have
look. I don't
Valentine's
know. This was a long time ago, right? It was a
How
How
weird
did it
time.
make you feel?
Well, basically, I was like, that's the last time I put my feelings out there. Never again.
Not been in a relationship since.
Fool me twice. Not be fooled again.
Have I told you about the Valentine's card I sent when I was? Wait,
No.
this is so embarrassing. I was probably about 7 or 8. I was like young, and I fancied this girl in my class. And my big cousin Rob, he's like 2 or 3 years older than me. So I've always like to me, he's like a man, but he's like 10, or whatever. And he said, I think I maybe have told this on here. I can't remember, but anyway, long story short, it was language I'd stolen from him, but in the card I wrote to this girl, I wrote "hubba hubba baby."
What?
Did that
I
work
don't know
for you?
where's that come
Where's
from.
that
It's
come
like
from?
an
That
American
cartoon.
TV
It sounds
or
kind of
something.
familiar.
Hubba
Is it
hubba.
one of the ghosts in Casper? Does he say something like that?
Oh,
I don't
does
know,
it?
but my
I was gonna
cousin
say
rubbed it off
Johnny
him, and I
Bravo,
rubbed it off him.
maybe.
Okay.
And
Johnny
it didn't
Bravo.
work.
Didn't go down well.
No.
Nah.
I don't even know if I
similar
gave
one.
it to her. I probably didn't.
I had a similar kind of card, like something like that, and it was
So
just went down
embarrassing.
like a lead balloon.
Yeah.
That's just my only 2 times of doing that, basically, and it's never worked. So, yeah, I was a romantic at heart, but
I once
as
like
a-
just, if
I'm
this
just
makes you feel-
developing a
if
new
this makes
character
you feel,
for you, by the way.
Yeah, this is great. Like I'm taking
Guy who
mental
can't
notes.
express his emotions anymore
But
after.
just to make you feel better, I once liked a guy and he didn't really like me, but I really liked him. And he was moving to London, and I thought it would be like really funny as a gift to get a Jenga set and to print out lots of pictures of his head. So like I cut
This is
out
a
lots.
big swing.
I cut out lots of tiny little pictures of his head, and then I individually glued them to all the pieces of the Jenga set. The backstory is he once crashed at my flat and he fell asleep on a couch, and we started piling up cushions and stuff on top of him like a Jenga set, which was so funny. So it was like a callback to this really special moment that we'd had. So
Where did his face going on it come into it? Just because it was
just
him?
to make it him, yeah. So his head fit quite nicely on the end of the piece. So I made this set. It took like a couple hours or whatever, and then he had his leaving party, and then I gave it to him in front of all his friends. And then he opened it, and then his best friend was like, "That looks like it took a really long time to make." And then it was just silence. And he moved to London, and that was that.
Never spoke to him
Yeah.
again. Oh,
You got to try these things though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've got, take a chance.
you miss 100% of the chances you don't
Yeah.
take. or whatever
I've
they
done
That would be
loads of it.
also the most cutting comment. That would also be the most cutting comment to get on a TikTok video now. That looks like it took a really long time. Were you wondering about Glasgow all day filming that way? You didn't go through all the way to Edinburgh? Jesus Christ. That's tough to it. But do you know what? I think you've got to learn from experience with these
Yeah.
things. And I think, it's better. What is it? It's better to have loved and lost than to have
The
loved.
thing is, if he'd been into me, maybe he would have loved that.
Yeah,
This
This is
I
the
think
like-
thing.
so.
But the problem is, though, isn't it always the way that, see, if you felt that he was into you, you probably wouldn't have felt the need to do that in the first place. It's
yeah.
almost like a kind of, that's why I've always said about shooting your shot. Like people always say shoot your shot, but usually when you're trying to shoot your shot, you're shooting from pretty far out.
It's a long shot,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
always a long shot when you're shooting your
It's
shot.
never a slam down.
No, it's never. No, it's never a given. Do you know what I mean? So I don't have to tap in here, but I think it's just like, yeah, basically, I'm here to say to people, don't shoot your shot. Like, it's probably not going to
not
work.
worth it. It's
No,
not worth it.
no, I do think you should. You should try, but
You have to
just-
make sure that
you have
they're
to
into
sort of judge the probabilities here a wee
Yeah.
bit. Scope it out. Usually, if it
Don't
feels
be
like
deluded.
yes,
This
you
is
have
like a Mark's like a pickup artist. Like a masterclass.
But I was kind of the opposite because they would be like, "Go." I'm like, "Don't do it."
Don't go.
So,
But then, on the other hand, sometimes I think it's useful to remember that we're all going to die.
That's true.
So
So it
doesn't really
Why
matter,
not?
does it? Yeah.
That's
there's no
true.
reason
Perfect
to be
crayfish.
embarrassed about anything.
Aye.
So
No,
give it a go.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck it.
right. And to be honest, I would probably do the same thing again. I just,
Yeah.
but and there's actually sort of seeing like the midst of like at least you see when you do that thing like the Jenga set, and then after it, even though it's embarrassing and like with the flowers, the Valentine parties, kind of like, well, do you know what? I
proud of
gave it a
myself
go.
for
I
getting it.
gave
Great
it a go.
content.
I gave it a go.
Great content.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Otherwise, you become one of those people that just sits on Twitter being angry at people all day,
No.
but not contributing anything.
That's it. And then and then you look at their grandkids and they've had them with somebody they didn't even like, and then you can comment that back to them when they fucking slag your
Fucking
videos.
grandkids are ugly. Got nothing to do with me.
Oh,
I was once sent flowers to someone on Valentine's Day that I was kind of seeing, and it fell on a Sunday, so they didn't deliver on the Sunday, so they delivered on the Monday. And then I was like, "Oh, you've." I messaged like fucking
Emailed the Royal
prestige
Mail.
flowers or whatever it was, when you've just ruined my relationship.
Did they get back to
They
you?
gave me a £5 voucher. So
For your next relationship.
yeah,
That's going towards the wedding.
You're not getting married on a Sunday, are you not?
no, Thursday.
That's funny.
You still doing zoology then?
No, I've left it behind. I've got friends that are still on the scene. One of my good friends is a fish biologist, so he keeps me up to date with
With all the
What's
crayfish.
what the
happening.
gossip is in the salmonid world.
What would you think about cryptozoology?
Is that like you know what that is?
Like-
Is that
Sounds
old
you.
stuff?
Like Bigfoot.
Giant sloths. Oh no,
Yeah,
it's like
but
fake stuff.
Fake stuff, Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, etc.
I support it.
We're
Yeah.
finally figuring out what Steve's algorithm is showing him.
I quite have, you know.
I wasn't sure like crypto if that was like some
What
kind
is
of
a crypto?
bro
What
is
is
zoology.
crypto?
Yeah.
What is crypto? Whatever you said there.
Cryptozoology. It's like
Like
Bigfoot.
Fancy word
Nessie.
for horse shit.
Nessie,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
mythical animals.
I quite like that.
Do you believe in them?
Sure.
Is there any any evidence of Loch Ness monster?
I think there is. If you
Yeah?
look on YouTube.
Yeah, of course.
There's
Is
that.
That wee picture.
There's a whole
That
film with
picture.
Ted Danson in it.
Is it?
Do you know what? It's mad that you bring that up. I auditioned to be in that film.
No,
did you?
What is the wee girl? No way.
Didn't get it.
You could have been the one
But-
saying night night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. If they
What,
if
man?
they do
Is
use
that her line?
dynamite.
I don't know
What?
what anyone
Did she say that?
That's the only thing I remember from that film
Wow.
because my dad used to say that to me.
No, I went to an audition. I can't,
I don't know why I stopped.
but I've always wondered like what the trajectory of my life could have been if
Yeah.
I'd been in Loch Ness.
They're all famously well-adjusted child stars. So I'm
Exactly,
Sure you'd be-
yeah.
You'd have been
I
fine.
wonder what
Right.
happened to
Yeah.
her. You can look it up.
Let's look her up.
Yeah, who is it? I'm going to see who got
Let's-
your part. What's the film
She
called?
must be Scottish. It's just called Loch Ness.
I remember
Loch Ness
being-
Ted Danson put
I
it.
remember being worried about the audition because they wanted it was like a little ginger girl. So I was gonna have to dye my hair
Right.
but now I actually do dye it.
So
It was
did
Elder
you,
Martin,
did you
though.
do acting and stuff when you were young then?
No, like they came round schools
All right.
and I think my drama teacher told me about it.
Uh-huh.
I would have been quite young. And I think I just really loved drama, so she was like, "Oh, you should go."
Yeah.
told my
I
mum.
remember when they were casting for Harry Potter.
Yeah, I really wanted my brother to be it because he
Aye.
had the little
That is
glasses.
weird.
Did you not
That's really
go for that one for
I was too
Hermione?
old.
Were you too old for it?
Yeah,
So
although I think I read quite young,
It
or
can't be
did
right.
it
read
can
young.
be. This is really
This is
weird.
a crazy coincidence. If
Okay.
it is,
So the little girl who got your part
Uh-huh.
was called Kirsty Graham, and I don't know if this is her, but there's a Doctor
Quite a
Kirsty
generic
Graham
name.
coming up who
not only is a doctor, but also her pictures. She's at
she's a
at the stand.
primatologist and she's
What?
at the stand.
Probably doing your gig at Brightcliffe.
What? So she's a zoologist.
Primatologist, is that the same?
Well, yeah, it's the same.
Primates?
Yeah, I'm a asticologist,
That's
which is a
creepy.
crayfishologist.
I mean, there's no.
That's
nothing to say
crazy.
that's
She's a
So
psychologist.
basically, your life would have been exactly the same.
Pay attention, have a bit of extra talk.
They just ended up back at the fucking same gig anyway.
That's bizarre. if
That's
that's
crazy.
Yeah.
Did she get a West End mum character?
Where does she live?
East End, he's playing the Barrowlands.
Yeah. Psychologist studying animal communication and cognition.
Is it the
That's
same
really
person
odd.
or have we figured
Well,
this out?
if you scroll down on that,
It seems to be.
Seems to be. It's the
I
same.
wonder if there's an
Fuck knows.
overlap between people that are into comedy and into animals.
Maybe it's because she was in the Loch Ness film and she's fucking just been like, I'm going
fuck
to
it.
keep seeing if this is fucking true. or
Yeah,
not.
maybe.
Maybe it's because
Spider.
she was in that film.
I've literally
Uh-huh.
just
That's
said
literally what he said. For me to say as well. Maybe that's why she did it.
Sorry, I just shut you out whenever you start speaking. No, I was reading that because it does say it says movies, Loch Ness, and then it says University of St Andrews, research interest, animal behaviour,
They're often
communication.
I mean,
wrong.
St
Those things,
Andrews
though.
is really big on like marine stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
There's a bit of sea there.
bit of inspiration that she
You were
had
there
there.
this weekend.
I was there last weekend.
If you Google me, that bit is all wrong.
What?
So I wouldn't. It says I'm
Google
like a
you?
research. I mean, don't.
You
but-
go Steve, it says he's a paedophile.
What?
Aye, that's because of that guy
Oh,
that
no,
was on
the-
To Catch a Predator.
There is a man called Stephen Buchanan on To Catch a Predator.
Aye.
But it's not. They don't,
I'm not saying it's you, but I'm saying if you Google Steve Buchanan, that's what
yeah,
comes
it
up.
would come up.
Oh.
It looks like a before and after of me and this guy. It's
If
really
you Google beasts in the west of Scotland, it's not Nessie that comes up.
No,
It's Steve.
it's not crayfish.
But just as
There you
well, you
go.
never got that 29% Rotten Tomatoes.
Clanger.
For that film.
Yeah.
That's what makes me sad because it's like I remember watching it in my youth, and I just like you'd like to think it was a good one.
Was it a romance? Like there was that
Aye.
women in it. Was it? It was one of those like scientist meets. Was she a scientist or was she a
I've not
teacher
seen it. I don't
in the
know.
community?
Do you want me to read you the little blurb?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
on.
what's this for?
Divorced and discredited American anthropologist Dempsey.
Not even a zoologist
Ted
then.
Danson.
Yeah, not even. Ted Danson arrives in Scotland to debunk the legend of the Loch Ness monster. The scientific mission soon turns into much more. The charm of the small
Sexual.
town. Yeah,
He gets his whole.
Gets his whole. Dealings with various locals, innkeeper Laura, her young daughter, you,
Meat.
An alternate reality.
and local water bailiff and research assistant all help steer him in a positive new direction.
Is
you
there
go.
such a
Wow.
thing as a water bailiff? Have you ever heard of that in your
Sounds
Glad
like
they
a
didn't
thing.
have to travel
yeah.
far for the
Aye.
water bailiff. Just get a
No.
local guy. You'll sort it.
Loch Ness?
What the fuck's a
Where
water bailiff?
nobody knows your name.
I'm gonna watch this now. You wanna watch
Yeah,
it?
we should
I think
watch
we
it,
should
yeah.
do a watch along. I would like to revisit it, to be honest.
Let's watch it later on. We've got time today.
Yeah, no, let's do it. Anyway,
Anyway,
that
that covers us, yeah.
We've got to the hour. Apart for that, then so you've got your shows. They're sold out, Zara. What are you going to do next? Have you got any plans for what you're doing next after the Glasgow Comedy Festival? I've seen that you're doing
Don't
the
know.
gala at the King's Theatre, which is exciting.
Yes, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing
Yeah.
5 minutes. So I think I'll do West End Mum at that.
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
You know,
Play the
it's
hits.
exciting. Exactly. Give
I'm
people
on as
what they
well. We're
want.
gigging with
Yes,
each
that'll
other
be fun.
before.
Yeah, that's it. I done that gig last year and it was really cool. And obviously King's is just a brilliant theatre
Yeah.
place, so you'll have an
Exciting.
absolute blast.
Yeah.
But aside from that, then, so I guess you're not plugging your shows as all sold out.
No, I don't really. I'll just be honest. I don't really know what I'm doing. Like I'm just focused on getting the shows to a place where I'm really happy with them, and then after that, I'll
See how it
see.
goes.
I
I
suppose
just want
it
to keep.
depends on how much you enjoy these
Yeah,
two. but
yeah. I've got a couple of gigs after the shows planned, but nothing major.
Do you plan to stick around this time? Or are you going to leave till the next
Yeah.
global event
Yeah,
happens?
I'll probably like disappear for another couple of years and then come back for the next indie reference.
Resurface for the return of the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't really have anything to plug. I guess apart from socials,
Yeah.
I think I just need 1,000 more followers and then I'll be truly happy. So if you could like do that.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
So where can people find you? Is it at Zara Gladman?
So Zara Gladman on TikTok and then on everything else it's Zany Zaz.
Nice.
Yes.
And I've got a Substack, which is a new thing, which is like, I don't know, did anyone used to have a live journal?
No.
No. It was a very naughties, like an online diary where you would just, it was like an online community thing. Anyway, I've started a Substack, which is like a blog. So you
Nice.
can subscribe to that.
Excellent. We'll put a link in
do
the
it.
description to
Thanks
all of
very
that. And will you be keeping posting videos, do you think, and stuff after?
Yeah, I
Sure.
think it's like a compulsion
Yeah.
at this point. So
It's mental illness now.
yeah, you said it. So you're braver than me.
We
That's,
will.
that's
We
why,
will
that's
know
why
if
I'm
you,
here.
if you do new
Um,
characters about us. We will know if you've it's like
Yeah. Immediately after this, I'm going to do
Wanker
a TikTok
podcast.
about 3 podcast
Yeah.
dudes
I would
who are
say,
obsessed with like Loch Ness monsters and
to be fair, your videos have been more well received than it seems that the Loch Ness monster film was. So actually, in the end, it probably worked out better that you didn't
Yeah.
get that part. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But listen, thanks a lot for joining us,
Thank
Zara.
you so
Thank you,
much.
Zara.
Thank you.
you.
As ever, please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can follow us at Some Laugh Pod on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter. We do have the Pavilion show coming up on the 31st of March. Tickets still available for that. Sign up to our Patreon if you haven't already. And aside from that, enjoy.
Enjoy.
I was going to say enjoy today's episode.
Enjoy the rest of your lives.
Enjoy. We'll speak to you soon.
See ya.
Enjoy.
Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. If they do, use dynamite. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Cheers,
Thank you,
Zara.
guys.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers.